We are on.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello.
Yay!
I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it, but it is not showing up on.
Here, I'll do this. I'm gonna share it too. Oops, hold on. This is why. Hold on just a second, Harold.
Okay.
Change the setting. Okay, now you should see it.
All right, hold on here.
See it?
No.
Here, that's what I'll do. I'm gonna put it on your timeline.
That is very odd. Well. I don't see it.
Right. Friends timeline.
Is it on your personal page as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, well, there we are. Wait, I see it, and I can. On your personal page as well. On your personal page as well.
There you go.
Yep. There we are. Okay, I want to share. Well, for some reason, it's not letting me share, but that's okay. I'll share it after.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm so excited. Welcome. Today's guest is Kelley Pelly. And Kelley Pelly is from Illinois. Can you hear echoing?
I do.
Let me do this. Let me change my. There we go. Out of Illinois, and I have known Kelley Pelly for, gosh, let's see.
Girl, it's like 25 years.
Mhm.
It's been like,
Yeah, at least.
at least that.
Years. So I'm extremely.
Don't put an age to us. Don't
No.
do that.
No. I'm extremely excited to have her on today, and she's going to share with us. She's going to talk about this series, of course, is the Heart of Artistry, and she is an interior designer. And so if you haven't followed her, I encourage you to follow her on Instagram and on Facebook. On Instagram, she's under Modern Earth Design. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and under her Facebook page, she's under Kelley Pelly. Is it just both of you?
On Facebook, my personal page, Kelley Pelly, but you can also follow me on my business page, Modern Earth Design, as well on Facebook.
And what I love about Kelley is she's not just, she doesn't just talk about interior design, which she does. She shares, just different tips and different things like that, work that she's done. But she's also very motivating, and she's very encouraging, and which is what I love about the things that she does. And she incorporates it with her designs. So I think it's a unique thing she does, and I'm excited for her to share more about how she got to where she got. I remember us talking about it when you initially were thinking about doing it. You were like,
oh yeah, that was a long time ago. But you actually came to my house. And when we first moved into this house, so that was such a long time ago. But the story of that, I'm going to go and just go back a little bit further, because I was my husband was in church and part of a church staff and everything, and I started doing women's ministry, and there was a class that I would teach. It was like a 12-week class, and basically helping women who have been through a lot in their lives, just to kind of delve deep, to go and get some of their soul healing, and to go and put things in the right order: spirit, soul, and then body. And I would see so many women just just be restored. Things like, they would come into class, some women would just have like, I don't know, like their personality would just be like very cold or standoffish. But then as they were just delving deep into getting healed and working through their stuff, you would see their personality the way they should have been already, without all the baggage, with all the stuff that had been laying down on their lives. You would start to see them come out of their shells, come out of that place of hardness. But when I was doing that class and teaching and stuff, after a while, God really had me just put it down. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to go put this down now, because it was at that time, like we were starting to see, women getting healed from even cancer, because they were dealing with their emotions, and some of the cancer, or the things that they were dealing with, physical ailments, were connected to their emotional traumas. So once they started dealing with that, those things started leaving their lives. So
let me just say before you, this is so awesome, because you were really, and I don't even think you realize this, but you were literally the doorway to getting to where to do the things that I did later on, because I was so impacted by what you were doing with women, that it really opened the door for God to do so much within me personally, and then to expand on that. So that's really powerful. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. I love you, Selena. Well, I mean, it's just an honor, right? It's just, obviously, even what you're doing, it's an honor to just be a part of change. Okay. And so when I had to put that down, and it was because I knew at the time God was talking about intent for me, and the intent with other people, because it started to get more known in our area, that it was like, don't do it because it's getting known. Do it because you want people's lives changed. So he was like, he goes, testing basically my heart being tested too. Lay it down. I laid it down, stopped. And then years later, I started doing some things. I was asked to do an event where we were doing something for the community, where it was like people who were alone for Thanksgiving, and if they didn't have like family, or even homeless people, were able to come to this facility. And I was challenged to create an environment, someone who, I wasn't even doing design at the time, to create an environment based on everything had to be free. Like all my decor, I had to find decor and everything to be free, to create this environment for all these people to be welcomed in. And, it really challenged me, and had to work with community and all that stuff to bring in and change the environment. So that was the start of doing design. And then it was like, I was like, okay, God, I used to do stuff for women and teach, and now I'm doing this. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But what he said to me was, you are creating beauty, right? You're bringing restoration. What you are called to do does not necessarily only go in this format. I will always bring out what you're called to do in different ways, and it'll still thread and still be the same thing. So here I was doing it specifically like teaching and helping women change their lives. And then it started going into the direction of designing and decor, but it was changing people's lives. But it still brings beauty.
And isn't that the kingdom? I mean, I think that's the beauty of all of that, because we sometimes, this is what we talked about last week in one of our lives with the artist that I had.
Right.
Sometimes we can put ourselves in a box, and God's like, my kingdom is so big and there's
Yeah.
so much to the kingdom of God that we think it's supposed to just be this way, or we think it's supposed to be just in the church, or we think it's supposed to be just doing this type of ministry. But God has so much more, and He can give us so much more if we allow Him to expand that thing in our lives. So that is so powerful. So I just wanted to just like, because I think it's just so awesome how He literally threaded, like you said, it was just like a thread. He just,
He did, and that's what he does for each one of us, right? And when he, like, with everything that you're doing or whoever's listening, whatever they're doing, he is the greatest storyteller. And he goes and he makes the story all make sense. And you're like, man, you take on different paths and all this stuff, but it still comes to that end that it should come to, and if you allow him to be the storyteller of your life. And so when I did that, and then it led to like doing more community outreach. And we were like helping renovate schools, and then I would do stuff for like the teachers lounges. And I was like, at the time, then it started leading into homes, right? But at the time it was like, okay, teachers lounges, well, teachers are in school all day, they're working so hard, why can't we create a teacher's lounge that's more like a home? Everything in there they'll feel comfortable. They'll feel like, they can relax, and they're not always trying, maybe, oh yeah, this was a hard day, but could be a little bit of a sanctuary for them to restore their soul. And so from there, it led to other things. It was just one step at a time, that God was just opening up doors. And I was just kind of like following every door that was open and not really knowing what I was doing. I am not a professionally, like, let's just say I didn't go to school for interior design. Okay. I didn't go to school for it, but I went through the school of experience and God opening up the doors. And then I heard this comment. I'm going to paraphrase it. It's a Richard Branson comment. And he said, if someone asks you to do something and you don't have, and you're like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't have the abilities. Say yes anyway and learn as you go. And so that's what I did. I ended up taking each step and just learning as I went. And God just opened the doors.
I love that.
Right? So,
Where your yes
when
is going to lead you.
What?
You never know where your yes is going to lead you.
You never know what your yes is going to lead you to. And so I ended up doing a blog post. And then from there, it led to doing this big renovation at a forest preserve in our local area. And I was just like, I've never done this before. Oh my God, I'm so scared, but I did it. I was like, it worked, and I did it. And then they've been my client. It's been years. It's been many, many years, about 10 years. Like, we've been back and forth. I've done work for them. But anyway, in my own home, and what I started to learn, and God started to use my own home to teach me. So we have like a fixer-upper house. It's a 1950s ranch, and I love old homes. Mm-hmm. I adore them.
Yeah, me too.
Because the one thing I do love about old homes is that now it's a trend, but before this was a trend, old homes were just forgotten. Right? They're just there. Nobody wanted to take on the responsibility of an old home, all that stuff. And then people are like, oh, I just want new, 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 new. Well, newsflash, new is only new until you put your foot into that new. It's never new.
That's good.
So when you start touching stuff, starts that you're going to have to maintain it. And you're going to have to work to keep it. Mm. So new is only an illusion. But this here, so this home here, God started teaching me. So at the time when we were taking down the wallpaper and the house had just like white stuff and white paint and everything. I was just like, I'm going to paint the walls. Well, at the time I was painting the walls, I had brown on the walls. Okay. Now, brown can be done right. I'm not telling people that you can't do brown on your walls. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, in my life, at that time, I was going through a muddy time. And it led to, which psychologically, I painted my walls the color of what I was going through in my life.
Wow.
And so I was trying, at the time, I was like, there was just a lot going on. There was a lot of uncertainty. And I was just like, okay, my room, like it got noticed by a magazine, and even with the brown walls and all that stuff, even though it looked pretty, what was behind it was not.
Wow.
And so after a while, that muddiness led to one of the most devastating parts of my life. And then I was just like, and I had to go through a whole season of God just doing a work inside of me. And I went through a lot of counseling, a lot of prayer, and a whole bunch of stuff. And then I was like, I have to paint again. It was just like this thing of like, you got to paint. So I went and I painted my room, which is the color that it is now. And it's about to get redone again because I'm in a new season. But this room has like blues in it. Okay. There's blues and greens. And at that time, I felt in my life, there was a washing going on. There was a cleansing going on in my life. And so the room ended up coming to a place of really, it's almost like a prophesying or a speaking a vision of what is happening and what is going to happen, you know? And so I felt like even in like with the watery colors and the coastal type of colors that I had going on, it was not just a washing, but it was a carrying. You know, when you're like floating in the water and you're just kind of being carried. Well, at that time of my life, when I decided to do that, I needed to be carried. And I needed to trust. And I had to go into the place of like, I need to trust God in this part of my life. And to see now, like with that and how he did that through color, and to see where I'm at now. Now I'm probably within the next couple of months, I'm going to end up painting this room, and this room is going to go into a white because it's a clean slate. Right? It's a clean slate. It's like you can see better. There's going to be more light being able to bounce into this space and all that stuff. So I know for me, it's color does a lot. And whenever I'm dealing with a client, it's more like I'm listening to where they're at. But just like God is the designer, right? He's the ultimate designer. He knows what's about to come, and he always, if you actually listen to him, he will always try to prepare you for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
You know, because he cares about you and he loves you so much. So whenever I go and I talk with a client, I really try to hear where they're at, but then I try to take in onto where they're going.
That's good.
You know, and so I don't just design for people where they're at. I want to know, where do you see yourself going? And then I go and say, okay, God, then I ask God some questions. And then from what they're saying, from what he's saying, then a design comes forth. And then in their space is what his heart is. And that's his little touch. whether, you know, they believe in him or not or whatever, that doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
just that his heart is always towards his creation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And he wants the best. And so whatever that is, he always thinks about the future. He always sees you beyond where you're at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so beautiful. I love that. I don't think people realize the impact of color, like you said, and how important it is for your home to be that place of whether peace, you know, whether it be, you know, just that simplicity, like how the design of your home makes such a huge impact on everything, really.
Yeah, on everything.
I remember it's so crazy because, like, I remember when I first got my house, like, I was really into, and I think you know, sometimes we tend to go by trending, you know. So I had one of my walls was like a dark maroon color, and
Mhm.
in my living room I had like a olive green, and then I had like brown furniture, and you know, and it was okay for a while. And but I remember just having God started to do so much in my life. I felt like there was a shift taking place, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with these dark colors.
Right.
And I like literally remodeled like my, you know, all of my front room, my living room. I went and I got brand new furniture. I changed my flooring. I went to like a lighter color, like a gray flooring. I painted to like like a soft eggshell white. Like got rid of all of the dark,
Yeah.
and just brightened up everything. And I just was like, oh, like just feels so better.
Right. You probably felt more open.
Yes.
Right. And like maybe even a weight off your shoulders.
Yes.
And that's the other thing I want to say. I'm not saying dark colors are bad.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
We're not saying dark colors are bad. Dark colors can be done in the most beautiful way. It's all about the motive behind and what you're trying to, you
Yeah.
know, bring out into your space.
Yes, it's because previous to that, I myself had gone through a really hard time. And so it was like, it's time for a renewing. It's time to like to loosen up all of these weights of the heartache that I had gone through, like just the pain that I had gone through.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I was like, I just felt like it's time for a change. It's time to just do something new and different. And it made a huge difference because it was like, man, I love my space. And unfortunately, I didn't stay there very long because now I'm here in Texas, and so I had to kind of create a new space here, you know.
Yeah.
But it really does make a huge difference, how you set your home. Um,
Yeah. Hands down.
yeah, I never realized that until I purchased my own home and I started going through my own, figuring out, you kind of figure out too what works for you, what your what your likes are, what your dislikes. So when you're working with a client, like I know you said you kind of sit down and talk to them, you know,
Mhm.
about what is it like, so what's kind of share like your process. I know I remember one time I listened to a podcast of you. What I loved was you shared a story about, I think it was about a woman who it was her bedroom, and her bedroom was really dark.
Yes.
You shared,
Yeah.
I thought that was so powerful.
Well, yeah, I mean, she ended up just talking with me and oh wow, that was some story. But yeah, she ended up talking with me and was just like she felt like in her bedroom, she just was not happy in her bedroom. And there were some things that were going on in her relationship with her husband. Um and the room, like all the windows, everything was closed, everything was just in darkness, just complete darkness. And she just was like, she felt like she could not be in there. She did not want to be in there anymore. She felt like because the stuff that was going on in her marriage was actually translating into the bedroom in the way that the bedroom felt. So with everything being closed off, with colors being very drab, all those types of things. And then I was just like, you know what? The simplest thing that you can do, I was like, open up the windows, open up those curtains, start letting the natural light come in to the space. I was like, first of all, it's going to make you feel a whole lot better. You're going to be able to see more clearly, you know? And it's going to like lift off a heaviness. Sometimes you have to take a step naturally, physically, to create the change, right? Even though the change is not there yet. Like maybe not in your marriage, you don't see that change yet, but maybe there's other things that you can do to start to make that as a catalyst for change. So instead of just keeping everything dark and dim and just like very gloomy, this is a space where we don't feel like we connect, all that. Shed the light on it. Expose it for what it is, and then deal with it, because you can't deal with something if you keep it hidden.
Isn't that a word?
I mean, right? You can't deal with it if you keep it hidden, then everything else is a facade.
Yes.
Right? So that's where it's like, in our spaces, yeah, we need to do that. I always encourage clients, open up your windows. Get that natural light in. You need that. First off, physically, for your health, you need it. So even in that alone, that will even help your mental health. Open up those windows. Don't be in the dark. Not good for you.
No.
It's not good for you.
No.
So yeah, like even in my home, I have everything is open. Like I open up those curtains, they're open, I can see out. I get that light in, and it just helps. It helps so much. Yeah. So yeah, if you're dealing with depression, open up those windows for real.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love natural light. And I think what I realized is part of the reason why for me I love the natural light is because growing up, I remember things always being dark.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, I love there to be open, just light. Natural light is the best.
Natural light is the best. It is. And I mean, now I understand that people are, maybe they live like in an apartment complex, and right next, you open up your window, you see like someone else's apartment right next door.
Sensitivity, maybe it's a medical condition.
Right. I mean, there's, but if you can open it up, go take in a lot of the stuff, like, God has provided so much for us to help us in our lives. Nature is a huge deal. So I know for myself, like for designing, to create even a calm space, which with everything that's going on in the world, like your home should be even more of a priority. Yes. And should be more of a sanctuary. So what I try to do is, nature is such a big factor in my designs and what I bring to clients. I love neutral colors. I like greens and blues, and you can do tans. I mean, you see it behind me, right? But all that's more of a serene environment, because there's so much going on everywhere else, that there should be a place when you come home, even if you can create one room, a place where you can come home and you can decompress. Yeah. You can go and say, I can come here, I can lay my burdens down, type of thing, and I can be rejuvenated. I can be refreshed here. Yeah. And that's what your home should be. It should not just be for you, but it should be that for your children. If you have kids, a lot of times, like, a tidbit too is like, if you're dealing with a child that has like a ton of energy and you're just like, oh my God, you want to pull out your hair, maybe you need to paint your space more serene colors. maybe you should go into more neutral tones, and that will help to calm the mind and bring calm to your family as well. You know, because the more saturated certain colors are, the more it heightens up certain behaviors and certain things. So yeah, those are things that can definitely help an atmosphere and environment, you know, in space.
So good. That's really good. Does that work for dogs too?
No, well, you know, dogs see differently. Well, you know what you can definitely what you could do is music. You should, when you're designing, when, like, if I'm designing a space, and for those who want to design or whatever, take in the five senses. So you want, obviously, your sight, right? So what are you seeing in your space? Is there a lot of clutter? Is there a lot of tons of pattern going on? Do you not have a place to rest your eyes?
Yeah, that's good.
That, I mean, design does not need to be over designed, right? So it's almost like in life, being too busy doesn't really accomplish anything.
Right. That's good.
Right. So like in designing your home, there's parallels to life. And so, yeah, you need a place to rest your eyes. You need taste good food. Put things out that are like things that you can snack on that could be healthy, or maybe not, maybe some good chocolate, you know, whatever. But I mean, just things that will just lend to that palate, you know. Good smells, you know, you want to have that. Could also tend to food, could be candles, could be fresh air. Open your windows, you know, like, I mean, it just goes on and on. So that's the thing. It's like you just texture, touch. You want to have things that are not going to be so rough or cold. You know, you want things that are going to be nice to the touch, that also brings calm and comfort.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take in all of those, you know, your senses and all that stuff when you're doing a space. It all goes with the ambiance of your home and what you're trying to accomplish, because you're not just designing for yourself. You're also designing for those who are coming.
That's good.
Okay. How do you want them to feel? What in your life, because your life is also represented by your home. Your life, you are a life in this body. You are housed in this body, right? You also, this whole thing, spirit, soul, and body, resides in four walls. So what are these four walls telling the people that are coming into your home? And when they come into your home, they can gauge atmosphere.
Yes.
Right? So people can gauge atmosphere, okay, but what in this atmosphere, how do I want this atmosphere to affect the people that are coming here?
Yes.
And then it becomes more than just a pretty space.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true, because that's exactly for myself. You know, when I purchased my home, you know, I wanted it to be a place where people would come and feel peace.
Right.
Where they would come and feel the tangible presence of God. You know, where they would come and know that they're loved and accepted, and a place of healing, really.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've had people come into my home. I don't say, you know, say anything, and they will say, "There's such peace in this house." And it's because that's the atmosphere that I cultivated within my home.
Right. Yeah. And it matters, right? Because then if you create that atmosphere, which that's where you and I align. I believe in peace. Like, everything about me is like, I just want peace. Like, God took me on that journey because I have dealt with a lot of things that it was more like, you have to create an atmosphere of peace.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted. And that's why still, like, how can I keep that going? You know, and I'm learning as I go.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like that's where you and I are aligned because of the peace aspect.
Mhm.
I believe for me, when I design, I want to design spaces that bring peace wherever that is. So like even for example, like I had just done a like it's a restaurant and all this, and a golf place. And in the design and the colors and all the stuff that I was thinking of, I'm like, people are going to come here. I don't want them just to come and do their thing and then leave. I want them to stay. I want them to hang out. First of all, when people hang out more at a restaurant or whatever, that means they're going to spend more money. That helps them, right? Right. So business wise, you think of it that way. But at the same time, you want people to feel like, I don't want to leave. I want to come. I always want to come back. Right. This is like, I'm going to be a repeat customer because of the atmosphere of what I feel here. And so it's not just, our homes, it's business. If you're dealing with a business, think about that. If you have a brick and mortar, how can I create this space that people are going to be like, I'm gravitated here. I don't want to leave this place. This is like a great place. And I want to bring that. And so they're purchasing your items because they want to emulate that feeling, that ambiance in their own home.
Yeah. And isn't that bringing kingdom to earth?
I mean, really, right? It's really the salt, your salt and light, right? The salt makes you more thirsty. You want more. You know what I'm saying? And light is beautiful. If you're in darkness for such a long time, and what that does to you, but when light comes, it's not just like this light, but then the lightness, right? Where even God says, what, my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel heaviness.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think it's important to have these kinds of conversations with people who have the heart of ministry, right?
Mhm.
But not putting themselves in a box of it just has to be done this way. Because again, the kingdom is so expansive.
Mhm.
And what you're doing is kingdom. What you're doing is the working of the ministry. Like it just looks different.
It looks different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks different. And it's not the normal way, or what, not even normal, but it's not what culture, even church culture would say,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um,
It's beyond someone now, and it's definitely not knocking anybody who's a pastor or worship leader or whatever. But there is more beyond that, right? Like we're supposed to be what, in this world, but not of this world. You can't be, if you're going to be in this world, you have to work, right? You have to work. You got to go to the grocery store. I mean, there's just so much. So it's just like how in the world that God has put me in, and the world, the people in my world that I have access to.
yes.
How can I, with the gifts and callings that I have been born with, right? And that have been over the years been honed, how can I then make an impact?
Yes.
And then that is kingdom. That is living beyond yourself.
Yes.
But you'll find that when you live beyond yourself, you get a whole lot more back to you.
Yeah. That's so good. And I put this quote, the quote that you said earlier, don't do it to be known. Do it because you want to see people to be changed. You want to see people changed. And that really is the impact of that is the kingdom. That's the principle of the kingdom. And so whatever we do, that's why the Bible says whatever we do, do it as unto the Lord.
Do it. It's really his responsibility to do whatever he wants with what he's given you. So like you're just supposed to do what he's telling you to do, right? And it's his responsibility to go and use that in the way that he wants to use it.
Yeah.
If you just do what you're supposed to do, the impact is up to God. It really makes it easy on us.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't even be striving to try to do all this stuff. We just need to live and be and do, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's so simple. It's not complicated.
Right. I always say this too, like, you know, I don't want to go to heaven and God say, well, what did you do with what I gave you?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't want to have to answer like that question, like, and say, what do you mean? Well, what about when I told you to do this and you didn't do it?
Yeah.
Or what about when I told you to step out and you didn't step out because you were too afraid? Or what about when I made this possible for you and you're afraid of what man might think? So, you know, I want to live in such a way that when I make it to heaven, God will say, thank you for doing what I asked you to do. You know,
Girl, that is hands down. That's exactly how I feel. I've always said, like, God, I just want every day I just bring a smile to your face. That's it. That's my heart, you know? And in what you're doing, like, first of all, you're like creating this platform for people to share, you know, and reaching out, doing all those things that you're doing, and even in the place that you're living at, stepping out into those areas, different areas. Like God is so faithful, and God will just use that and just impact. But you had to say yes. Mm-hmm. And because you said yes, I get the chance to be here with you today. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's a huge deal. And so I just want to say thank you for saying yes.
Oh.
You know, because like that's courageous. You know, it's like this. So when I go and I'm with a client, okay, and I can see where things can go in their space. I'm like, I can see it. I can see the color. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be so good. But they don't see it. They don't see it. I see it. Why do I see it? Because I'm the designer.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm asking them to trust me. This is the same thing. We don't see it all.
Yeah.
But we need to trust the designer. And he's saying, trust me.
Yeah.
Like I know every ounce of everything that needs to be done in this space. This is the space. I know what needs to be done. And I can make something so beautiful. And I can create something so amazing. And if you just let me do it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing. It's like we have to trust him just like as much as I go in and say to my clients, I need you to trust me. Like, I know this chair is going to work right here. I know this is the chair. Trust me. You know? But I have to ask them to trust me. And God does the same thing. He asks me. He asks everybody else who's listening. He asks you. I need you to trust me because I see the whole picture. And when you're doing, like, for this house, like, you know, it's a renovation process, right? I'm on a house right now. It's like an 1800s farmhouse. The whole house is gutted right now. And we're finding stuff that needs to be done, right? When walls get taken down and you start to really dig deep and you're like, oh my God, this foundation needs looking after. Oh, they're missing some studs. Oh, that's not good. You know, it's like all this stuff. And he knows what's going on all behind all those walls. And so sometimes the renovation process is really bad. How many times do we go through a renovation process? I can speak in my life, right? We go through many things that we're like, oh, we didn't know that was there. That was what was going on behind that wall.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, there was a leak. Oh, mold. Perfect. But we would have never known unless that was taken down, right? And some things get taken down just in time before it becomes a really big issue.
Yes.
Right? But renovations are not pretty. Some renovations can happen quicker than others, and some take a lot longer.
Yes.
But in the end, when it's all put back right, you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how God works in our lives. He doesn't work on every single room in our life all at once. Sometimes he focuses on a specific area.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay, well, this pipe's not working here. We're going to focus on this pipe because we can't do this pipe. We can't have this pipe doing that and then put the floor down. We need to focus on the pipe. Yeah. Stop focusing on the pretty. Let's work on your character. And then when people see the pretty, you got the character to sustain that.
Yes, that's so good.
And that's where it's like when it comes to even design, when I'm dealing with people's spaces, they want the pretty. Oh, I just want the stuff. I just want the stuff. Uh-huh. But okay, but we have to take this out. We got to take this out. And this has to be fixed. And that has to be fixed because the thing is, if we go and put all this pretty stuff down here and your foundation's jacked, what's going to happen? All this pretty stuff is going to land in your basement. Or when the next storm hits, maybe that porch is going to like fall apart. We have to focus on what is our foundation and let the renovation process and go through the process in life so that when people see the beauty of what God's done or the beauty of what maybe the designer does, right? It will stand.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's so good. And that is so powerful. So tell me, because I know that you've done some work. I've seen you do some work with your husband, Corey, and which has been pretty cool because you guys are like tag teaming. And then I know that Destiny draws too, right? Your daughter, Destiny?
Yes, Destiny is an artist.
So that's awesome. So talk a little bit about that, like how they kind of help. You guys are it's almost like a family thing now. Like it sounds like I'm just watching you. It seems like you kind of work together with different projects and things like that. So talk a little bit about what that looks like. I know it's got to be exciting in a lot of ways. In some ways, maybe not.
It is exciting. So now Corey right now, he was doing construction full time and everything. Now he's taking on just a different role in it. So basically he's going to be more in helping with consulting some things now. But he'll still be working with me in designs. But yeah, no, like he was like the builder. Like I could dream it and I'd be like, listen, you got to make this happen. You just got to do it. And so and then he would do it. But the thing is, what I loved about him was that since he's like artistic as well, he knows like exactly what I'm looking for. And he just goes the extra mile for me, instead of just typically just putting something up. No, I'm like, I wanted those edges rounded. And he'd be like, okay, I want round them edges for you, whatever it is. So, but no, it's been really good. It's definitely, you learn communication, right? And it's marriage, right? So you have to like be able to talk about design and construction, and then still also you focus on your relationship and all that stuff. So that's been like really a really good thing for us. Destiny, who's my oldest, Destiny is an artist. So I would actually have her sometimes do work on events for me. So like she will do like big murals and all that stuff. And I mean, it's probably hasn't been like her most favorite thing to do because she's like, it's so much work. But she all has said to me, she's like, Mommy, if it wasn't for you making me draw all those trees, she was like, trees are one of the hardest things to draw as an artist. And she was like, you have really pushed me, and it really ended up expanding her and her art skills
That's
to
awesome.
do that. But yeah, no, I love that. And I also sell some of her artwork to some of my clients that will actually put into their homes as well.
Really cool.
And then my daughter Parker, she is like my right hand. Like, she has an eye for design too. So I actually, every job I go to, she's with me and she helps me. It's always nice to have a bouncing off, you can bounce ideas off, and plus she's young, which keeps me fresh, right?
Right.
So she's 19, but she's got an eye. And so I'm like, you know what? I see that in her, and I see that she also has an eye for, a heart for business as well. So I'm like, let's bring her in and have her work with me on that. So yeah, and then my son, he's in high school, so he's just living his best life. So
That's so crazy. He's in high school already.
I know. Remember, he was just a baby when you. I know. God, it's been that long.
Yes. Wow. I need to take I'll have to come take another visit when it gets warmer.
Yes, and then we can go and head into Chicago, and just kind of have a good time.
Yes.
That would be so awesome.
I love hearing that. I love, hearing the journey that God's brought you through to get to where you are. And, it was all a matter of, like you said, just, I'm going to start with the yes, I'm going to do this. And, you did it afraid in a lot of ways. You did it just trusting God that He would do the rest. And I think that's really amazing. Um, anyone watching who is maybe like, thinking about doing what you're doing, or maybe they kind of like, maybe they're not sure, maybe they're scared, like, do I need to go through school? Like, do I need to go to, this interior design school? Like, what should I do? And, not that, and we talked about this in our last interview about, you know, it's okay to go to school if you want to get skilled at something, but
Mhm.
Holy Spirit is like the best school you could ever go through.
Yeah,
Right? Um,
that's true.
it's okay to take classes like and things like that, but what is some advice that you would give someone who's just starting out, or maybe who's looking into, getting further into this kind of career? Like, what are some obstacles, or what's some advice? What are some things that you can share with them, going in this direction?
If you're wanting to do interior design, actually, I had a conversation with a young lady who wanted some advice on that just recently. But I would say, first of all, use your home, your own space. Practice on your own space, because the thing is, you're not going to have a client get upset at you. You're your client. So start looking at things that inspire you, and then figure out this. Instead of like taking a Pinterest image and trying to copy it, go and say, okay, this image, what is about this image that inspires me? Why do I like this so much? And really try to understand why you like something, because the thing is, you're going to have to get into a client's mind later. If When you're going to start having clients, you have to understand, why do they like this? Is this feasible? Is there something there? Is there a sentimental thing about, like, floral patterns that they have? Maybe it reminds them of their grandmother, and they have this connection with their grandmother. Well, maybe you might need to bring florals in some way into the space. It doesn't have to be in a grandma way, but it can be in a way that that could be kind of cool, So so the thing is, you want to practice on your space. Start designing your space. Start looking at ways to be on a budget. You have to learn about budgets. Okay, so it's great when you have those clients that go, you just whatever, just design whatever, and I've had those, and they're like, great. because then you can do whatever you want. But then you have some clients that don't have that. So you have to treat clients, those who have a lot of money and those who are on a budget, the same. And you want to respect those even who have money. You want to respect their money just as much as you respect someone who has a limited budget. Okay. And so think about it. Maybe put yourself on a budget and just say, what can I create with this budget in this space? And start practicing, start practicing. Get a social media page, Instagram. I personally like Instagram a lot. But go ahead, get a social media page and then just see what the feedback you might get from what you're creating, and see if like you can design stuff for friends. Friends are forgiving. Right? You have to test, you have to do a testing. Start designing for your friends. Now, then you might find out, do I just like designing as a hobby, or do I like it to actually deal with a client on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we look at like HGTV, or we look at, all these design shows that are on these different networks or whatever, and we're just like, oh, that's just so cool. Like all they're doing is shopping. And there's a whole other world besides that.
Yeah.
Okay. You actually, the design aspect is a small part compared to you're actually becoming a part of their lives. It's almost like the hairstylist. You sit in the hairstylist chair, you're getting your hair done, and then you're just divulging your life to your hairstylist sometimes. Right. And they're almost like a therapist, So you want to understand that it's beyond just the design aspect. So can you do that? So yeah, think about those things, and then you'll have to find out if you have a knack for it. There's a lot about balance. There's a lot about colors and tones and textures and all those types of things. And some people have a natural ability for it. But yeah, you have to see and you have to also understand your design style.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. Because you don't want to be a jack of all trades of design. It's really, it doesn't work. I appreciate all types of design. Can I do a bunch of different? Yes, I can. But I prefer to have clients that understand that I will bring nature into your space. I'm going to bring you a space that's peaceful and all that stuff. And that's what I really look for a client. I don't take on everybody.
That's good. That's good. And it kind of like, that's really what also sets you apart, is because this is my marking of what I do.
Yeah.
Right. Because every designer has their special niche or their special thing that makes them unique.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's also finding out, like you said, find out what makes you unique about your design.
That's right.
If that's something that, that you want to pursue.
Yes, hands down. Because if you're finding that you're designing out of your element, you're going to be a frustrated designer. And then that is going to read into the space you're designing. Because it's not, you carry something as a designer, right? You carry it. And so what you carry, if you're not happy in what you're doing in that design, if you're finding like, I don't want to be designing Victorian, and here I am doing a Victorian design, it's going to show in the space. Yeah. So you really need to get to know yourself. That's why I say practice on your own house.
That's good. That's good. That's really good advice. Well, awesome. Well, we're about just one more minute left. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. And again, they can find you on Instagram.
Yes.
Under Modern Earth Design.
Yes.
They can follow you on Facebook under Kelley Pelly. And you have a website. What's your website address?
It's kelleypelly.com. I'm like Kelley Pelly. I'm just, but it's under construction too, because I have to update a lot of stuff on there. So yeah. I mean, you can go on there, but hey,
Okay.
don't judge.
Don't judge, yeah. KelleyPelly.com. Instagram is the best place to follow her right now, or on her Facebook. And
Yeah.
I encourage everyone, follow her, like her page. She does, you still do the Monday, you were doing Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember what day it was. Was it motivations or
Oh, I do Monday motivations, and then on my story, I'll do a Tuesday tip. Yeah.
Tuesday tip? Yeah, Tuesday tip. She's really right now focusing on health right now and how you can, just eat things better, what to look for, all kinds of really cool things. It's all about being healthy right now, which is really important, extremely important for us.
Extremely important. If you want to go and, keep doing what you're meant to do, you want to keep yourself healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So everybody make sure you like, share, and follow. Make sure you share this story. This is an awesome interview. Thank you again, Kelley. And I'm sure we'll have you on again another time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to share with us today.
Oh, I love you, girl. And thank you for everything that you're doing, because you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I will have to share this after.
Yes, and please give your love to Corey and the kids for me.
Okay, I will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.